Hey folks, so today we're going to go over biomes and we're going to do this in kind of general terms for each biome because we're not going to retain exact numbers of average temperatures or precipitation levels, but general characteristics we can. So we're going to start and jump right in. You should have your chart pulled up and I'm going to show you some pictures over here on this side. And we're going to start by talking about the tropical rainforest. Now, the rainforest obviously has to do with rain. So when we click on here in precipitation levels, we're going to put very high precipitation levels for this, of course. And if you look at this picture, what you see is a whole lot of dense vegetation. So we're going to put dense vegetation in here, all right, for the tropical rainforest. And when you look at the tropical rainforest, one of the other features is that it is, oops, misspelled vegetation. There's going to be a lot of typos up in here, guys. Bear with me. Okay, and one of the other things you'll notice is there's all different kinds of plants up here, even a cell tower. And this is a very biodiverse ecosystem, all right? A lot of biodiversity in here. And so here are some of the species you would see in the tropical rainforest, for example, anything from emerald tree boas to Malayan tapirs, ocelots, emperor tamarins, pygmy marmosets, toucans, and poison dart frogs. So when we think of the tropical rainforest, as far as temperature, they have pretty warm and humid, of course, because it's a rainforest temperatures. Here we go. So then we're going to jump right into the savanna. Now this is a picture of the savanna we normally think of when we see the savanna. And so when we look at the pictures of the savanna, it's basically a modified grassland is what we see here. And so with this, we see a lot of large grazers. Can't spell. All right, large grazers and predators of the grazers. So we're going to see those guys in here. Temperature-wise, though, it's warmer than the tropical rainforest, except it also has seasons. So this is the dry season that we usually see on TV, where you see the giant migrations occurring. And then here, this is the wet season, which you don't see as much because it's not when the migrations are occurring. So with precipitation levels, we're going to put a dry and wet season, okay? And for temperatures, we're going to put pretty warm. So we'll put warm to hot in the savanna. All right, so here's some animals that you would traditionally see in savanna. You have your lions, your hyenas, hamadryas baboons, dung beetles, that's a little ball of poop, they are the cleanup crew, vultures, and wildebeest up in here. All right, on to the chaparral. Now, when you look at the chaparral, this is what you think of as the Wild West. So we're going to put that in our features. This is the Wild West, okay? Wild West. And so with that, what we see is a lot of shrubs. A lot of shrubs in here, not a lot of trees. So we could put, with that slash, very few trees. And so who lives here in this kind of environment that's very dry and very warm and not very many trees is you tend to get a lot of insects and reptiles. All right, there are some other animals that live here too, but mainly in abundance insects and reptiles. So here's another picture of the chaparral there. You could just picture the tumbleweeds coming across. So this one, it's not very dry, but I would say for precipitation, we could say that it's low precipitation. And for temperature, it is pretty hot, all right? So pretty hot. On to temperate grasslands. So, oh, here's some animals of the chaparral, I forgot that. So we got coyote and the roadrunner. We have one of the two venomous lizards in the world, though that's a little debatable, but this is the Gila monster. Here's a jackrabbit. If you look at him, see how big these ears are and long the legs are? Those are to be up away from the heat of the ground and to dissipate heat through those ears to help cool them off. There are some cougars around this area and some scorpions. All right, temperate grassland. So of course, this is a grassland like the savanna is. All right, but just still a little bit different. So we're going to put over here mostly grasses because it's a grassland. And much like the savanna, there is a dry season and a wet season. So we're going to put that in precipitation. Dry and wet season. There we go. But it's temperate, which means the temperatures are mild, okay? That's the temperate part of this. And that's the big difference between the savanna, has to do with the temperatures that you find in this ecosystem. So because it is mostly grasses, the other thing you see that is similar to savanna is you have a lot of large grazers. And this time, too, the other thing we have a lot of is a lot of rodents in this ecosystem. So some of the animals that you would find here, here's your prairie dogs. They have grasslands that are found in Australia where they have the marsupial mice. You have caribou and pronghorn in the western part of the United States, and bison, all feeding in the temperate grassland. Now we're on to deserts. So of course with deserts, we're going to see a lot of rocks and sand in this ecosystem. We're going to have some vegetation, mostly cacti that live in here. Very few plants because it's so incredibly dry. So for precipitation levels, we're going to put very low, less than 10 centimeters of rain on average a year. And the temperatures are interesting because they have very hot days and then cool nights. And so it makes it, you can actually get hypothermia in the nighttime because your body gets used to the super hot days, and then it drops really, really quickly at night. But the desert can be obviously a beautiful place, beautiful ecosystem, but also very dangerous. And so with this, again, what kind of organisms do you see here? Lots of insects and reptiles. Reptiles do well, they eat the insects in this ecosystem. So here we have some organisms found in the desert. We got a spiny lizard. Coyotes are kind of on the edge of the deserts. Here is a sidewinder. Camels can withstand that. In the hump, it's not water, it's fat that's actually in there. And as the fat is metabolized, it makes some moisture for them inside their body. And desert tortoises, they're all specially adapted to that ecosystem. All right, on to the tundra. The tundra is also sometimes called the cold desert because the precipitation here is also very low. This is not a bunch of snow that these guys are on, it's ice, okay? And so with the tundra, we have lots of ice and then what's called permafrost, where the ground is permanently frozen for most of the year. And there's a very, very short growing season. And I'll show you what that looks like. So here is the short growing season where you get these short like perennial grasses, annual grasses. Not a lot of trees or shrubs here because the ground is not thaw enough to do that. And the other thing you see in this ecosystem is a lot of white animals because they're camouflaging in with all that ice that's in there. For temperatures, it is very cold, all right? Very cold all year long. And so here is some of the animals that you would find in the tundra. You got the snowy fox, and then you have Arctic fox, sorry, and the Arctic hare, which we looked at hare earlier that had very big ears and long legs. These guys are the opposite, short little legs, tiny little ears, a little black on the top so they don't get frostbite, and that's so they can retain their body heat. This is the Arctic swan. Baby seals are all white and fluffy and adorable. And here's your snowy owl that you might recognize from Harry Potter. All right, on to the taiga. Now, taiga also has, look, a lot of snow down here. And the kind of trees that you find in the taiga is you have a lot of conifers, cone-bearing trees. So we got a lot of conifers. As far as precipitation, we can say like medium. So they get a lot of snow in the winter and some rain, but it's pretty average, I would say. So here's another view. It's very beautiful when it snows there and all these conifers. And so when we're looking at the taiga for the temperatures, it's cold. It's cold. All right, sometimes very cold, sometimes mildly cold, but you do have seasons in this biome. But the winter does last a long time. So it's going to put down here. So long winters, all right, in this one. And so the species are adapted to that. So here's some of the species that you'd find in taigas throughout the world. We have the lynx, you have the gray wolf, you have wolverines, bald eagles, brown bears, and even fishers are all adapted to this ecosystem. All right, I'm going to scroll down a little bit. Here we go to our last three. So this one, temperate deciduous, I'd like you to put like a star next to this one because this one is our biome. All right, we are the temperate deciduous forest. And so if we're talking about our temperatures, they're mild as well. And we also have seasons. You know, we have pretty mild seasons, not a lot of change there. When we look at our forest, we have more deciduous trees. I'm going to slaughter this one. How do I do? Deciduous trees. Oh, I did it right. Look at that. All right, I should. It's right there. All right, so we have deciduous trees, which are your big leafy ones. And with this, the colors change in the fall. So it's quite beautiful. People come just to see the trees change color. So they're very gorgeous in the fall. There you go. There's your deciduous trees changing color. As far as our precipitation, it's moderate or medium, either way that you want to put that. So that's that temperate component again. And believe it or not, we have a fairly diverse ecosystem. We're just used to seeing these animals. We got a wide variety of animals live here. So we got raccoons, red-tailed hawks, black bears, possums, and white-tailed deer. All right, now into marine ecosystem. So with marine, what makes it marine is salt water. So the water has high mineral content. That's what makes it salty. And this is also the most biodiverse ecosystem. All right, the most biodiverse, more even than the rainforest. As far as temperatures, it's going to vary by depth, varies by depth. Over here, this is, you can put an NA because it's not applicable. You're in the water. So here's your marine ecosystem. It's gorgeous. You get a huge variety of organisms living in here. Everything from eels to different kinds of fish called teleos. You even have snakes like the sea snake down in here, sharks, hagfish, which are jawless fish, all within this ecosystem. All right. Finally, we got some fresh water, which is the opposite. Instead of high mineral content, it's water has low mineral content. All right, and this includes things from lakes, streams, rivers, creeks. We could go on for a while. So those are, etc. So those are some examples of, let me do it the right way, of fresh water. Of course, again, the rain does not matter because you're in the water. And this also varies, the temperature varies by location and depth in this situation, right? So with the ocean, you have those currents, it's not as different. So this one also is pretty biodiverse. You get some beautiful scenery with fresh water. Of course, it's necessary for life to exist on our planet. And so here's some organisms you would see in our freshwater ecosystems. You got gar and otters, axolotl that are found in little ponds in Mexico. They're so cute. You have beavers and even some sharks. This is a bull shark that comes up into fresh water. All right, guys, I hope you got a little bit out of that for your biomes. See ya.